Vertigo 2 was a breath of fresh air. Throughout the 2000s, we would get landmark shooter after landmark shooter. We would get Half-Life, into Half-Life 2, into Doom 3, into Fear, into Prey 2006, into the Halo games, into Metro 2033. These games were non-stop. This is the golden era of first-person shooters to me. But nowadays, these styles of shooters are basically dead. Or are they? Garrick, Dragon here. I'm already done with this bit. Yeah, this genre is dead in the mainstream, and that makes me very sad. It doesn't require a 20-minute long video essay to break down why these shooters are much less common. Yes, trends come and go, but the explosion of the internet upon the release of Half-Life Alyx proves that these still have some staying power. Maybe not as the mainstream genre anymore, but definitely there's interest for them, so where are they? Well, the answer is because every shooter nowadays needs to either be a battle royale, an extraction shooter, or a hero shooter. You see, when people beat a single-player game, they've mostly completed it on their own and stopped playing it, which is fine. But that's not how you get the money. It's hard to shill in all those microtransactions and skins you want other people to see if it's not PvP. It's hard to keep people around if there's no way to shill in a battle pass. On top of that, the cost of making a new game has ballooned to such a ridiculous degree that publishers want to at least break even and then milk you for as much money as you got. Their focus is not primarily make a good game that you'll remember. Their focus is get all the money out of you possible, then maybe have a game in there afterward. That doesn't leave a whole lot of money for a game like we used to have in the mid-2000s where you buy it once for $60 and then enjoy it as much as you want to. It doesn't really leave space for a memorable experience that tells you a story and immerses you in a world. After all, there's those microtransactions and skins. You want people to see them even if they're calling you a slur on the other end. So in the AAA space, this kind of game basically doesn't exist. Indie titles do exist, and some of these are really good. I would recommend Adaka to anyone that likes these kinds of games. But Adaka doesn't have the resources of a big budget publisher. They don't have the huge budget behind them. They don't have the industry experience. They don't have the QA testing. And they're understandably going to take longer to make since oftentimes it's just one person making the whole game. So while we occasionally get amazing indie titles like this, the output is a lot slower. And as much as I love these games, they're just not going to match what we used to get. Except for in one space. One space where the immersive, storytelling, linear first-person shooter has thrived. VR gaming. Wait. Before you click away, I want to mention two different things. The first one is that if you watch this channel, you probably like the same kind of shooters I do. The Half-Lifes, the original Fear, the Prey 2006, the original Halos. And all of those kinds of shooters are extremely prevalent on VR. The second one is that if you watch this channel, you're probably a PC gamer, which means you probably already have a gaming PC. That means the only thing you would need to get into VR gaming is just a headset. And you can get a Quest 3S for only $300 brand new. That's the default price, and that's all you would need. You don't need to plug in any base stations, you don't need to do anything else, you're already ready to go. It's not a huge investment, and you get a ton of games that you would never be able to play. And trust me when I say this stuff doesn't translate to a flat screen. It's not a gimmick, these are entirely different games that you can't get access to without the headset, and they would not translate to flat screen. This is the main reason I adore VR. It translates so naturally to this style of game, to the linear, story, immersive first-person shooter. And everywhere else, it's basically dead. Over on VR, we have, of course, Half-Life Alyx, but I actually think there are other VR titles that are better than Half-Life Alyx. Alyx is an amazing on-board point, probably the first VR game you should play if you've beaten the other Half-Life games. Don't start with Alyx if you haven't played the others. Please play through the other Half-Life games. Play your Half-Life. But funny enough, I feel like the Half-Life 2 VR mod is actually better than Alyx. My favorite VR game of all time is Boneworks. This is very much Half-Life in vibe. If you like Stalker, there's Into the Radius, which is just Stalker in VR. There's Vertigo Remastered for more Half-Life vibes. And the topic of today's video, Vertigo 2. Or at least its DLC, Into the Aether. No, not that Aether. Well, it took them a long time, but they finally got a shirt based off a dragon. Or, well, wyvern, but close enough, and this is pretty awesome. So, I've been working with a shirt company called IntoTheAM for years now, and they've been very supportive of this channel. They've been sponsoring me constantly, and I really do appreciate it because I like their clothes. On the internet, I may be a dragon, but in person I do have to wear clothes. And these I wear all the time, whether they're sponsoring me or not. I was just up in Seattle earlier this month. I wore their clothes the entire stay there. I had no reason to. They didn't sponsor me to do that. The reason I wore their clothes is because they look good and they're really comfortable. That honestly is the main reason. They're really comfortable. If you haven't figured it out, this is a sponsor segment. But for me, it doesn't feel that way because everyone wins. You guys get really comfortable, nice clothes at a deal. IntoTheAM.com/dragonshirts, you get 10% off site-wide, and that stacks on top of bundles or current sales they're having. IntoTheAM gets their profit and sales they want, and I get more help on this channel. The more sales they get, the more likely they are to come back here, and the more likely I can keep doing all of this for a job. Also, these clothes are a nice bonus. Like, I really can't understate that. These are extremely comfortable. Like, I really do like these shirts, and now, dragon stuff. If you like this channel, you probably like dragons. But the new thing they wanted me to tell you guys about is their casual button-up tees. These things are very lightweight. Summer is coming, so now would be the time to get something like this. They'll keep you cool, they'll dry very quickly. They do have some sun protection, SPF 30+. So hey, if this is your thing, check them out. I've been working with these guys for years for a very good reason. Again, IntoTheAM.com/dragonshirts, and you can get 10% off site-wide. Thanks to IntoTheAM for sponsoring this video. And now let's talk about Vertigo 2's DLC. Vertigo 2 Into the Aether starts off right where Vertigo 2 left off. I won't give any spoilers to the ending to Vertigo 2, so I will just say if you haven't played Vertigo 2, then you should probably go play Vertigo Remastered, which is the original game, and then Vertigo 2 before you get to this DLC. No spoilers will be in this video. This game does make one of the endings of Vertigo 2 canon. I can't tell you whether that's the good or the bad ending, not for spoiler reasons, but because all point of view stuff, I really don't know which one is the good or the bad ending. Either way, you're not playing as the main character from Vertigo 1 or Vertigo 2. You are playing as Brian, the smartass scientist that guided you throughout Vertigo 2.
Lunar defense to unidentified vessel. You are on course for a restricted area. Divert now or you will be fired upon.
Eat my ass.
I was a little concerned about this because he does seem to talk a lot, but in this DLC he doesn't talk anywhere near as much as he needs to, so this doesn't get annoying. The game starts right away with you guiding a landing pod down to the moon. This is kind of awkward. You're not in first person, which is already a little bit janky when you're in VR, and you also have this arcadey virtual joystick in front of you. You eventually get used to it, and this is pretty short, so it's not a big deal, but honestly, this could have just been a cutscene. Especially since once you do land, a cutscene starts immediately. I guess the dev wanted to throw you into action right away. Anyway, you are working for Cowboy now, an entity far more powerful than you. Turns out, the moon also has a vortex propagator, meaning it can wisp you away to other dimensions, but not after a brisk walk on the surface of the moon. I only mention all of this because in the process of turning up the security on the moon, you get a new gun that you didn't see in the base game. Oh, hell yes. I love high fire rate SMGs. This is exactly my thing. This is awesome. Any gun that shoots fast enough to sound like the Black Ops 2 Warthog, I'm down for. Just ignore my left index controller refusing to let go of magazines when I reload. This was getting annoying. But not only do you get this new gun, you get a double barrel shotgun, which was in the base game, but as an Easter egg. High chances are you'd never use this in the base game, so it might as well be a new gun to you. It's a powerful double barrel shotgun, not much more to say. Fighting on the moon is interesting because, as you would expect, there's lower gravity, so if you want to moon jump at enemies, feel free. But after you trek across the surface of the moon and have a brief mini-boss fight, you are let in to meet Matthias Hall.
Hands up, asshole. Wait, I know you. Matthias Hall, right?
Brian? Is that you, Brian?
I'm here to, see the vortex propagator.
What? No, you can't do that. Ah!
Maddie, this guy's called Cowboy. He's my boss now.
We've met. Yes, I do. Fine. Brian, let's go see the vortex propagator.
All right. I feel like I'm out of the loop, but let's go.
Yeah, so about being out of the loop. Into the Aether comes with a story in its files. Out of the Aether. This follows Matthias Hall's story and how he got to know Cowboy. In an alternate universe, I could see this being a second DLC to Vertigo 2. But As Zach stated himself in the PDF he sent to me when he sent me the key for this game, this is the final entry in the Vertigo series. So I wanted to make it special. This means he just had a story he wanted to get out, he just wanted to tell us. I don't know where Zach is going after this game. I don't know if he's going to be making a new series entirely. I don't know if he's going to go back to working for Valve. Best luck to his future, but it is a little bittersweet getting this DLC as the final entry. Thankfully, it's a good one. After a short trek across the facility, you will go into a Vertex propagator, go through the portal, and find yourself back in the void. And you're immediately greeted by Cowgirl.
What? Is that you, cowboy?
私のことはカウガールって呼んで。気づかれないように姿を変えたの。
Hello, engineer.
彼女も不快に感じ、あなたに距離を保つよう要求しているわ。
Jeez, okay.
Alright, that's mildly amusing. Cowgirl explains to you that this is a prison break. The last living architect is in chains in this facility. Cowgirl cannot fight, so it's up to you. You know, in spite of your lacking morality. At this point, everything I've said is basically just the intro of this DLC. This is where the game really starts. And may I just mention, this whole level is going to freak some people out. It has incredibly creepy vibes. This is also where the game lets you just be on your own. Brian doesn't really say anything in this area. You're just alone in your mind exploring. And on top of that, Vertigo 2 was a Half-Life. It very much so was heavily inspired by Half-Life. But the DLC, this is not a Half-Life. This is a Metroidvania. This is just Metroid Prime. Straight up. One of the coolest things this game does is that it drops you into a big room with a massive door in front of you and 2 doors on the sides. So naturally you'll be curious about this huge door. What could be behind that? You open it and it chucks you into a boss battle. One that you cannot win. You can fight the end boss of this level right away. It won't end well, but you can. There's your roadblock you need to get by. Alright, so you go back out, and now you have 2 doors on each side. Both of these doors open to sprawling areas. Now this game doesn't have a map, but the way this is set up with a center hub and these 3 different doors makes it really easy to memorize where you are. I didn't really find getting lost to be a problem, especially because the way you progress throughout the level is still fairly linear. It just opens up as you unlock more things. You know, like a Metroidvania. It will be pretty obvious when you can't progress. Maybe there's a glowing red door. You obviously need an item to open these glowing red doors. Maybe there's a glowing red gem. You can't shoot it or do damage to it. You can't push it. So clearly you can't do anything with it yet. You are missing an item. Or maybe you're thrown into impossible odds. This room, just too many enemies. Clearly you need something to make this easier. You're not going to win. I will mention one item that's been pretty prominently featured in the trailer, so this is not a spoiler. You've already seen this. That is the grappling hook, which I have a love and hate relationship with. On one hand, a grappling hook is awesome. That's always a fun time. This will also unlock certain roadblocks in obvious ways. On the other hand, it was really awkward to control. The inputs to use it are pretty straightforward. You just press the trigger and then it'll grab something and then you go. However, when you grab something, it's like there's an extra 5-10 feet of slack before it starts pulling you forward. And then once you actually reach the final point, it just kind of slingshots you. This is really difficult to get used to, and I died many times because of it. I think a much better way of doing this would be press the trigger to grab onto what you want to grab to, but then hold the jump button down to actually pull yourself forward. If you let go of the jump button, you'd stop pulling yourself forward. This would let you use the thing as a rope, but also still a grappling hook, which seems a lot more natural to me. And obviously, since you're hooked onto something, you wouldn't need to jump in the air. Regardless, it's not unusable, it just may lead to some frustrations. I found it more annoying in the platforming sections, but during the actual combat sections, using it to slingshot yourself over enemies was really fun. I want to bring up one last roadblock as just a very good example of how clever this entire map is. Eventually, You come across these guys. You had seen them in statues, but never in person. So the curiosity got the better of me. Okay, so let's not mess with them. I can still sneak around these guys, get to whatever's at the end until, well, this guy's blocking the door and he's not gonna move. I can't walk by him, it's just gonna kill me. I can't get to the door in time. Or I should say it won't open in time. Shooting him doesn't work because I can't kill him in one shot, so he alerts whatever space lasers are shooting at me. This means I need to figure out a way to kill this guy in one shot in order to be able to get through. And you have multiple ways to do this. One of the ways is that there are 10 different rings on this map. Every ring you grab will make you take less damage and do more damage. This actually isn't the way I got by this guy. I did a lot of damage to it in another way, but I'll let you figure out that other way. It's a lot more straightforward. As for the rings, I found 9 of them, so there was one I didn't find somewhere. Again, this is all very classic Metroidvania stuff. I wasn't kidding when I said this is just Metroid Prime, and I'm here for it. Who would have figured we'd get VR Metroid Prime 4 before actual Metroid Prime 4? Actually, now that I think about it, Metroid Prime in VR would kick ass. I know you can technically play the Metroid Prime trilogy in VR, but not really. It's not room scale, and it's not using VR controllers. Instead, it's just wearing the headset, sitting at your desk, using a regular controller, and that's not good enough. I want proper, real VR experience. If any other company other than Nintendo owned Metroid, I would assume it could be a possibility, but with Nintendo owning it, that's never happening. Anyway, that's the very too long didn't read about Vertigo 2 Into the Aether. If you can't tell, this is pretty fun. And better yet, this is only $10. Yeah, $10 for this DLC that should take you, gosh, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell you how long a Metroidvania will take because this can vary wildly per person. If you get stuck, it could take you 5-6 hours. If you run through it, it could only take 2. It took me about 3.5 hours, so that's probably what's going to be average. It is very bittersweet that this is the last Vertigo title ever, but at least they went out on a high note. This has been a passion project from a singular dev, from Zach. Just him the whole time. And what he's been able to do for a full-fledged VR game is astounding. This is a system seller to me. This is one of the reasons to get VR. I would highly recommend the entire series. Hey, huge thanks to IntoTheAM for sponsoring this video. Again, if you want to get a shirt like this one is the Fiery Guardian if you want some dragon stuff. Go to IntoTheAM.com/dragonshirts and you can get 10% off site-wide. Also, huge thanks to my YouTube members. These guys get to see my videos early. I'm gonna start stockpiling videos because I need to take a few weeks off, so I need to double my work every week for a little while. So they may be seeing things a month ahead of time. So if you want to see videos early, then become a YouTube member. I keep it pretty cheap. And if you want to support me in other ways, you don't need to do that. You can check out my other videos. Huge playlist here of stuff just like this one. There's the last video I've uploaded, I guess, or recommended one. I don't know, YouTube knows most things about you. Or if you want to subscribe to this channel, there you go. Click this here. Thanks for watching. See you later.